the Carbon Neutral 2030 Getting Started on Farm project. It's a Meat Livestock Australia funded producer demonstration site project. It's a 4-year project that commenced in March 2023. We've held 2 annual workshops in March each year and a tour to Deephead, the Katanning Research Station. The project will conclude in 2027. So the official aim for this project is to demonstrate the educational packages and services available to producers to meet the MLA target of carbon neutrality by 2030, and the initial practice steps change required, which in short means getting as many farmers as possible to complete a carbon calculator and to get a better understanding of their farm emissions. Why? So you might ask why? Why would I spend 2 hours of my life completing one of these carbon calculator things? Well, let me introduce my friend, Wes Graham. And I'm sure Wes needs no introduction. Dave just did it for me, but anyway. So Wes does own and operate Goya Farms, a mixed sheep, cattle and cropping enterprise on the South Coast Highway. He's one of our core producers in this project. So Wes, why did you become involved in our project?
Yeah, well, fancy me being asked to come and speak on a climate alarmist agenda, accepting agriculture and livestock in particular to be blamed for causing global warming, or as I call it, global variation. There are many reasons why we should not accept the blames and argue the point, Scottish, hey? And Enoch is not here, some people that can talk about it very well. Regarding our importance of being in the carbon cycle. But unfortunately, we can't keep our head in the sand. We can't ignore that the corporate world and other industries are doing and trying to make themselves look more environmentally and socially accepted to the city folk. If we accept some of the data regarding our emissions of our livestock industry, we need to at least look at ways what we can do behind our farm gate. MLA and CSIRO have hung their hat on seaweed and invested a lot of money into that. Being fed to animals, it helps reduce their methane emissions. The proving and practicalities of that on a farm, on all farms, are yet to be proven and worked out. So we'll wait and watch that space. We've also got industries that are planting ag land for heaps of trees that are going to somehow save the world. Be a system for those dirty industries to offset their own emissions and then claim to be net zero or carbon neutral. There's government-built carbon trading schemes to enable those corporates to make those claims, but they don't necessarily action to improve their own systems. We've got our governments all committing their countries to aspirational goals of 2030, for example. But that means we do really have to get involved and get ahead in the game. ASHEEP Beef have acknowledged this and feel like they need to lead in this space, and therefore this project that we're doing with CN30. We all know that in farming, if you firstly don't measure, you can't improve. This rule obviously fits across all production systems, and even a keep it simple, stupid farmer like me know that. Although I was also thinking it was a waste of bloody time getting involved in this project. The next trigger, of course, comes from my own supply line of supplying Coles. I supply, a lot of beef goes to Coles. Coles were one of those early corporates to come out and claim that they were selling carbon neutral meat, which I just sort of said, well, that's it, I don't need to do anything. They're already claiming that. Then we started having to do declarations as we're sending our cattle off to the feedlot. And then there's potential audits and everything like this. Look, I can't ignore that. This market's been the backbone of my business for the last 12 or 14 years. So I needed to get involved. We can't be shut out of markets, or the potential of getting shut out of markets is just too much risk for our businesses. So away we went. I grabbed my first carbon baseline calculator, was on the MLA website. So I threw a few numbers together, got a number, that's good. And Jan said the project's using the PIC calculator, so I had to start again. And that was a bit more involved. Obviously, you've got to split all your livestock classes up in numbers every 3 months, average weights, growth rates every quarter throughout the year. And this last 12 months, I didn't think they grew anyway, so it is a bit involved. There's some good parts to it. There's some regional assumptions on pasture growth, etc., which help finalise the figure. So then you've got a baseline. So then we get asked, so what are we going to do to improve our baseline? So it's a bit hard, really. Livestock do burp and fart, and that's the story. MLA's the silver bullet. We don't know how long and how adaptable this is to our system. Plant trees. There's a lot of tree projects happening. Not successfully, some of them. I did my land re-veg and rehab and re-veg back in the 80s and 90s. I suppose I can do a bit more of that. You can trade out your natural bush areas. Sell it as a carbon trade. But no, I don't think farmers should be doing one little hectare of that, because we need it all ourselves. So my thoughts are based around, firstly, something like genetic selection. Obviously, the quicker we can get our livestock to market, the less days they're breathing on this earth, the less burping and farting I reckon they'll do. So that's where my focus has always probably been. Been doing that for 40 years. So that was an easy one. We'll keep down that track, and I advise everyone to sort of consider that. It's probably well proven. We were told by Professor Eckhart there probably March last year when we had our first day that if you farm in Esperance, you've got no chance of storing carbon in our soils, because they're sandy soils and the rainfall's not good enough. But obviously production efficiencies can be gained, getting our soils right, our pH right, nitrogen, our soil organic matter. These will all assist pasture growth, and that'll also increase get those finishing targets earlier. I farm in a 500 to 600 mil rainfall. It's a wet zone as far as cropping goes, and surface drainage is the biggest improvement I've had in my cropping business in the last 10 years. I started with raised bed farming 20 years ago, whatever it was, but this is where we're at. So if you're getting that sort of increases into cropping yields of getting 7 and 8 tonne of cereals, 4 tonne of canola, then that means you've improved a hell of a lot. And I think you get the same benefit out of pasture production by those pastures not being inundated with water for months of the year. I think buying the grader is probably the most important machine I've ever purchased from the farm, based on that. Then you can grow perennials where appropriate. Other pasture mixes will be part of that process moving forward. To do with the coals, so it was about this time last year that pressure came on with that, doing those declarations, but they just claim their offsets. That's the way they get to advertise their carbon neutral beef. My feedlotter is Ivan Rogers. We've had a 12 or 14 year association with Ivan. Supply coals contracts through his feedlot on a custom feed arrangement with me, so I own him till the end. And he also sources some heifers off me for a Wagyu breeding program, a Wagyu crossbreeding program. So it's a great association, great relationship that I've got with a person like Ivan. Biggest thing that Kyle would do, I contacted him the other day and just to see where it's at, because It hasn't really changed. That pressure from coals back down the line to us hasn't changed much, which is good. But I'm just sort of seeing where it's at. And what they're doing is just going to that professionalism where they create vision statements with their intentions to use industry best practice. All the record keeping, weighing, performance data that's available that they can give to Coles at any one moment. Statements of their capacity to deliver the highest quality product through relationships with suppliers like myself, with service agreements. Spell out the commitment to carbon neutrality, environmental and social governance. Aim to reduce their carbon footprint of beef production by implementing methods of feeding methane, reducing supplements, installing solar power, tree planting and revegetation. So if you take, what I take out of all that is that those are the things we need to do. We've heard it a bit today about social licence. So that's my take. If we approach this in a professional way, tell these people that eat our product, this is what we do it at top standard, good world-class standard, and just to keep expressing our attempts to improve, I think we're going to be a long way down the line. So that will enhance our social licence and our sustainability.
Okay, thanks very much, Wes. I do have one more question, if time permits. What would you say to someone thinking about completing a carbon calculator?
Yeah, I guess I go back to what I said earlier. If you're not measuring something, you can't improve it, and you're really doing this baseline for a start. Thinking of what you can do on farm, making some adjustments, seeing it improve, you're halfway there. We don't know where this is going to go. The calculator has got to be a lot more improved or easy to use. I think as time goes along, still not one for a mixed farmer like me. So you've got to do a few of them. So yeah, those things. But yeah, just get started, get it on the line, see what it's at.
As part of this project, we have developed a starting your CN30 journey document. So we've gone through, it's easy to read information on carbon emissions, how to download and complete the calculator. It steps you through the information that's required and to complete the emissions profile. I've got some printed versions of this on the back table, or there's a QR code in the book, the book that you've got this morning, so you can download it. Alternatively, if that's not something that you want to do, we are holding those annual workshops, so there'll be another one in March 2025 with Richard Brake. So just let me know, put your name on the list. I'll contact you early in the new year with a reminder, and yeah, join in and see what you can learn.